Welcome back to Nerd Bytes. I'm Justin.
And I'm John.
Joining us today are our frequent guests, bourbon aficionados. First of all, we've got Pat for hosting us. Thank you for that. And also our resident expert, Brian.
Hello.
So we are here, as you can probably see right in front of you, we are doing a fun little Jack Daniel's lineup. And these obviously are non-traditional Jack Daniel bottles. So we're going to give you a real quick breakdown of Jack Daniel's, the brand. We're not going to get into the argument of whether or not it is a bourbon or a, as they call it, Tennessee whiskey. You guys can do that in your Facebook groups. But today we're just going to talk about these specific bottles, and we're going to do a little taste test and see which one we like the most. So kick us off.
Jack Daniel's is a brand of Tennessee whiskey. It is produced in Lynchburg, Tennessee by the Jack Daniel Distillery, which has been owned by the Brown-Forman Corporation since 1956.
So this is a real condensed history. Jack Newton Daniel leaves home in 1864 and is taken in by Reverend Dan Cow. At the Cow family farm, he learns the art of whiskey making from the preacher. It's kind of funny, he's a preacher. And an enslaved man named Nathan Nearest Green, which you may have heard that brand name before.
Uncle Nearest.
Uncle Nearest, right.
Yeah.
Jack would later hire Nearest as the Jack Daniel Distillery's head distiller, what we call the master distiller today.
The Jack Daniel Distillery was officially established in 1966, making it the very first registered distillery within the United States, with Jack as the master distiller. The opening of his now famous distillery would follow shortly thereafter, right next to Jack Daniel's prime resource, the mineral-rich Cave Springs Hollow.
In 1904, Old Number 7 took a gold medal at the World's Fair in, you guessed it, St. Louis, Missouri. And it's the first of 7 gold medals Old Number 7 would win.
According to the website, folks have used all kinds of names for our most important step. The state of Tennessee recognizes it as the Lincoln County process.
Hear, hear.
Most tend to call it charcoal mellowing. But down in Lynchburg, there's another name for it, the extra blessing. It's an old-time process Jack insisted on, and one that has been in continuous use by the Jack Daniel Distillery ever since.
Yeah, and here's what they say.
You want to add to that?
I think Justin's going to talk about it.
Here's what they say. They say once distilled to 140 proof, they send their clear, unaged whiskey on a painstaking journey. This is their words, not mine. Drop by drop, it crawls through our handcrafted charcoal at a pace dictated by gravity and nothing else. The trip takes 3 to 5 days to complete, and once it's done, the whiskey is transformed. Might even say blessed.
Wow.
Yes. What they don't say there is that it is 12 feet of sugar maple charcoal.
Really?
And also, if you're hanging out with the Jack Daniel's master distiller, don't call it charcoal filtering.
Interesting.
Bad call.
It's
mellowing.
It's mellow.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
It's the Lincoln County process,
Right.
but it's not charcoal filtered.
Right.
Yeah.
That was what we call the kids call humble brag too, by the
Yeah.
way. Good work with
and,
that.
and not to mention, Gentleman Jack is charcoal mellowed prior to maturation and then again post-maturation prior to bottling.
Okay.
And that's why Gentleman Jack is one of the softest and smoothest of the lineup.
I agree.
And I like it too.
Yeah.
So we've got 3 bottles in front of you. We're going to tell you about each one of them. First off, we're doing what's called it's a rye Jack Daniel's store pick from Dogwood Spirits, and this is what the website says. This historic creation marries the smoothness of Jack Daniel's with a unique 70% rye grain bill. Complex flavors of ripe fruit mingle with light toasted oak notes to create a taste rich with spice and a pleasant lingering finish. It's a big, bold rye that does not overpower. This was bottled on January 22nd, 2021, and the proof is 94.
Excellent. The next one is the 2020 Rye Special Release, according to the website again. This annual special release single barrel proof rye celebrates the early craftsmanship of the Jack Daniel's Distillery, honoring a time when American whiskey was often high in rye content and offered at barrel strength. Bottled in its purest form right from the barrel and uncut at full proof, it's packed with Jack character with our signature smooth finish. Proof will range from 125 to 140. This one was bottled on September 19th, 2020, and it comes in at 132.3.
Hell yeah.
And our final one, definitely the most elusive to find. This is called the Jack
Well,
Daniels.
This one was pretty hard to find too, but this one also is as well.
The most elusive is the
Yes.
Jack Daniels Coy Hill.
Correct.
And according to their website, this is their 4th annual special release. Jack Daniels Single Barrel 2021 special release Coy Hill High Proof. This year's annual special release celebrates Coy Hill, which is the highest elevated rolling hill on the Jack Daniels distillery property. That's where it comes from, apparently. This rare high proof release honors the art of the whiskey making process, as well as showcases how a barrel house location, along with the extreme weather and maturation conditions, produces an exceptional whiskey flavor. So this is straight from the barrel, minimal filtration, uncut at 137.4 to 148.3 proof. This was entered into the barrel on August 17th, 2012. It was bottled basically 9 years later, September 22nd, 2021. It has a proof of 141.1.
By the way, September 22nd is my anniversary.
Special day for this.
There we go.
this
And
bottle.
I would like to throw a little kudos to Jack Daniel's way. It would have been very easy as whiskey started booming about 5-6 years ago, right? For them to just start releasing.
Start pulling it.
Yeah, and they didn't do that. They decided to wait, and we're going to release whenever the whiskey is ready, and we'll do some special releases. But when they're going to be a special release from Jack Daniels, they are truly a special release.
Yes.
And so I think that they deserve some kudos for that. They could have easily jumped on the bandwagon and started flooding the market with their whiskey. They didn't do that. They waited until they had the best whiskey, and then they put it out in limited release. So I think that's a pretty cool
Makes sense.
thing for them.
It's real cool. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do a tasting, and essentially we're going to be judging on nose, taste / palate, and then finish. Each one of us is going to give it a score of 1 to 10 on all 3 categories, and we'll see basically which bottle do we each like individually, and then which one do we like overall the most. Make sense?
Sounds
Makes
good.
sense. Makes sense. So let's start with
do it.
the nose, and we're gonna do all one at a time. So we'll start with the rye for all
So
3
we'll do
categories.
the nose, palate, finish,
For all 3.
and then nose,
Okay.
palate, finish, then nose, palate, finish.
Yep.
Gotcha.
And so
Tastes like a rye.
we're gonna go kind of here in, kind of in order. We'll start with Brian first, talking about the nose. Give us
Well, it's truly Jack Daniel's banana peel. The signature of the Lincoln County process is that banana peel, that caramelized sugar, the bananas foster. Pat, as you've said a couple of times, that is the Lincoln County process. That is Jack Daniel's to me, and this one has it. There's some spice at the finish, and after the addition of water, it's still got a lot of banana peel, but it's really fresh and ripe banana. It's those bananas that have been sitting on your counter, and you may be questioning whether or not you should eat them or whether you should freeze them and make banana bread. But it's really delicious, and it's not it's not a complaint at all. It's an observation that if I were to say there's any drawback to the nose, is that it's not overly complex. It's pretty straightforward with the banana.
Yeah,
You got,
I agree.
You got a
on
number
that.
for us, by the way?
If I were
Nose.
given a number, I would say this is 6. 6 on the nose.
Yeah, it's fairly close to me as well. I would say this is about a 5. There's not a lot of complexity. There's slight ethanol to it, but yeah, it's very prominent that this is clearly a Jack product.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I like it. 7. Lambert?
I'm gonna go 5.5.
Oh, yeah, you don't have to do whole numbers, I guess.
Yeah,
should.
I'll break that seal real quick.
Okay. All right, well, let's go in the same order then. We're going to go with just overall mouthfeel / taste. Brian?
I like the mouthfeel. I like the taste. The banana comes through, but there's a little more complexity on the palate. I'd give it a 6.
Yeah, for me on this one, there's not a lot of complexity. There's hardly any oak that I pick up at all. Slight sweetness to it, but the finish is all rye spice.
Yeah.
So,
As you would expect.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. But as far as preference, to each his own. For me, this is probably about a 6.
Yeah. Despite how much I like the smell of it, the taste for me is kind of fine. Yeah, it's bland. So I'm gonna go 5.
I'm gonna go 6 because I actually like the palate more than the nose.
Yeah, I just wish it lasted longer.
Also, a fresh
True.
crack on
Yeah.
this bottle.
Yes.
There we
Okay,
go.
so
It's
finish.
a good note.
Kind
Finish
of what you're about to say,
Oh, yeah,
Pat.
sorry.
Yeah, finish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Finish is about medium for me. So
Yeah.
again, I'm a 6. I'm a 6 all the way across the board on this one.
Yeah, for me, I'll probably bump it up a little bit. I think this deserves a 7, simply because even though it's not as a deep of a finish, it lingers and stays there. It's very, very subtle, but at least it tries to hold on at the very end. So yeah, I'll give it a 7.
I really enjoy this finish, as I'm sure none of you guys are shocked by that. So I'm gonna say 7.
Shocker.
7.5.
I'm gonna go 6.
Okay. So now we're going on to our second, which is the rye special release.
Yes.
Okay. We're going to go in a different order this time. This time we're going to start with Pat.
So it's interesting. This one, I pick up definitely the bananas, brown sugar, caramel, but there's a slight, almost like a vanilla bean to me for this. Like I've never smelled that before, on a Jack product. So doesn't mean it's a bad thing. I'm just saying it's just surprising.
What's your number?
I'd probably give this a 6.
I'll go next. I don't like the nose on this as much. It's got like a pretty good tint of ethanol, which I don't dislike, but just isn't as, I don't know. I'm not getting as much from it, quite frankly. So if I gave the last one a 7, I'm giving this one a 6 as well. Lambert?
I like this one more than the first one. For whatever reason, I got baked bread, just a little blast of it on the nose. I have no idea where that came from, but somehow I pulled that out of my ass. I'm gonna go 6.5
Okay.
on the nose.
And Brian?
Yeah, I'm 7.5 on this one. I like it. I think the complexity is there. It certainly, once I added a drop of water to it, it really opened up. It's got the banana, it's got the chocolate, it's got the caramel, and it's got the rye spice. So yeah, I definitely took it up.
I will backtrack, and so I added water to the first one, and I'll tell you what, it opens it up completely. Like all I taste is banana and rye.
Better?
Rye spice.
Way better.
Yes,
Got it.
I think so.
All right, good.
What's your number for the taste for the second one?
Mine?
No, Pat.
Oh.
Oh, I'm sorry. What?
Palate.
No, it was me. I needed to...
No, Pat goes first in this round.
Oh, gotcha.
It's again still about a 6 for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I like this one better. So I'm gonna stick with I'm going 6.5 on this one. I like it better than the first one, as far as the taste.
So on this, I will add flavor wise. I added water to this. It actually made it worse. It opened up the tannins and the oakiness for me on this
Interesting.
one,
I'll have to add water to it.
which I did not like.
This is
I do not care for.
I got some.
Okay.
I got some. 7.5. I like this a lot. I like it. I think it's got a good mouthfeel. It's got some good flavor. I like the palate more than the nose. I think it's good.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm with you on this. I'm giving it an 8. I think that it really has. Oh, it's firing on a lot of cylinders here. You've got the banana, you've got the sweetness, you've got the rye spice, you've got a little bit of the oak that comes through, which is atypical of regular Jack Daniels, and I think it's got a little bit of a burn going down. I like the proof on it. I like the way this whiskey tastes. This is why I haven't tried this for 6 months.
Yep.
At least, and it's only gotten better. To me, this was one of my favorite whiskeys on the crack, and I really like this whiskey.
I think it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Finish, Pat. What do you got?
Finish is excellent. It's probably one of the best ones so far. but I mean, we haven't gotten to the third one. But yes, I would probably rank this closer to 8.5 for my finish on this.
I like that. I'm going 8. Last one was 7.5 for me.
Yeah.
This is a better finish. Lambert?
Definitely.
I'm going 8.
Solid.
Yeah,
Very solid.
it's a solid 8 to an 8.5 for me on this. I haven't.
Well, which one is it?
I'm going 8.5. I haven't taken another sip since I did the palate.
It's still going.
and
even-
I still am tasting
still
it. So
going.
this
and,
is
well,
a
and even
very long
I added
finish.
water, and it took us, and it's still going.
Still going.
Yeah, the water didn't deter that at all.
That's a very well crafted whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, up last but certainly not least, the Coy Hill. I will go first on this one with the nose. So there's I feel like there's a lot more going on there. There's really no banana at all. Maybe some cherries for me. Hit of ethanol. So I mean I'm gonna go back to my original. I think it's in between the first and the second one. So I'm saying 6.5 for the nose, for me. Lambert, what do you got?
I mean, I definitely, I feel you with the ethanol, but then thinking of the proof, this is over 140, so that's bound to happen no matter what it is. No bananas, at least not that I can tell.
Yeah, so for me on this one, there's a little more complexity. A lot of ethanol is really shining through here, but I'm picking up a lot of almost like a dark cherry, dark fruits in general, with a slight oak, but not overly powering. So I think the nose on this is great. I'd probably give that closer to like a 7.5, 8. For me. 8. Let's do 8.
I'll echo you, 6.5.
So for me, this is it's dangerous because
Yeah.
You can't get too
you
close.
have to ride
get
that
too close.
line
Yep.
between getting too close. You get too close and you're burning the cilia out of your nose, and so I'm getting some of that. I am getting some banana, and some of that same banana. So, but it's not nearly what it was with the other two. But to me, this is a 7.
All right, so on to the taste for me first. Honestly, it tastes a lot like it smells. I think you've got, like you said, those dark fruits. Got a little bit more caramel to it. I've tasted a little bit of banana. It's actually not overly hot, which is shocking considering how high proof it is. I'm getting more of that really deep mouthfeel.
Yep.
I'm gonna. This is the best of the three for me as far as like taste. I'm gonna go 7.
I'm thinking.
Lambert.
I'm thinking.
While you're thinking,
while I'm thinking, you talk.
so with this, it's interesting with this one is that the taste is actually slightly different from the nose. I feel like it tastes better than it smells. It smells hotter
I agree with that.
to me.
Same with it. Well, it was for me. It was the same as the rye. Like,
Yes.
That the
Yeah.
special release rye tasted better than it smelled, and I would agree with that too
But
on this
the
one.
flavor of this, I mean, there's a lot more going on here, complexity-wise. This is a 9 for me. Like I'm digging that. I will try it with a little bit of water, so stand by.
I added a good amount of water, and that was necessary for me on the palate. I felt that. I know Pat would disagree that something can have too much alcohol, but I thought that it was a
That's
little
hearsay.
too high of proof. And it with the water, it certainly calmed it down a little bit and helped me to be able to taste some of the complexities. And I do agree that it is very complex on the palate. Still get a little bit of the banana, but more cherry, some of the oak, some of the spice.
Less of the burn too.
much less of a
I just
burn.
added water and it just
Yeah.
mellowed out.
Immediately mellowed out.
Yep.
So I mean, it's a very, very well crafted whiskey that I think deserves an 8.
I'll go 7.5.
Wow.
Okay, so then finally for finish, I think this has got a really pretty solid finish. I don't necessarily think I like it the most out of all of them. So I think my highest was an 8, so I'm gonna give this a 7.5.
I'm gonna echo 8.
For me, this is closer to a 9, and the reason I say that is that it's got this lingering finish that just doesn't want to go away. But more importantly, it has a numbing sensation with the tongue,
Yeah.
which I like.
Because it's
And that's the
Most
part
may
that
because it's
not.
hot as hell.
Yeah.
that's the part
Yeah,
that I
but
think is
I-
detracting on it.
Oh God, I love that.
To me, I
Love
think
it.
that detracts from it. So I'm going to give this 6.5 on the finish because the pleasant flavors, the deliciousness of this whiskey
Yeah.
has kind of been overshadowed by the numbing effect and the alcohol on the palate for me. So that's why I take the finish down. 6 months from now, who knows? I mean, this is 3 weeks opened. So
I will say
at
it-
higher proof, it's going to take some time.
Yeah, I will say that I did add just a slight cap of water, and it did open it up, and
Yeah.
I'm picking up a lot more of that oiliness to it, almost.
This to me is gonna be one of those great whiskeys. I just think that if I'm talking about what's in the glass right now, which is what we're doing,
Yeah.
Yep.
then that's where I am. But
Yeah.
but I think the potential is definitely there.
Yeah.
So
I
the
agree.
rye store pick is $48. The rye special release is 65 to 75 ish, and the Coy Hill is about 70 to 80. Those are all MSRPs or suggested MSRPs. So let's do a real quick breakdown of scores. Pat, I'm sure you won't be shocked at all by your favorite one, which was of
Shocker.
course the
None of-
Coy Hill.
none of us will.
Overwhelmingly, Coy Hill out of 30 points, you gave it a 26.
Okay.
Brian, your favorite was actually the rye special release. Out of 30,
Yeah.
you gave it a 24.
That makes sense.
Lambert, you had a tie with the rye release and Coy Hill, both with 22.
Sounds about
All right.
right.
And mine are really close. And my favorite was the Coy Hill with a 21, 20.5 for the rye release.
Very close.
Did you guys try it with a little drop of water?
Yes. Both of
No,
them, yes.
you're not
Okay.
convincing me. I'm not going any higher with it. As far as the
I'm not
total-
changing my mind.
No, it's what it is. The totals, 73 for the rye store pick, 87 for the special rye release, and 90.5 for the Coy Hill, which is actually a lot closer than I expected to be, quite frankly.
Interesting. Okay. Nice.
That rye release,
It's good stuff.
it held its it held its own. It's
Well,
good
and
stuff.
We also opened that. We opened that in February of 2021,
Yes.
right? Because
Yep.
we tasted it together.
Yep.
And that's you were like, all right, fine, I'll buy a bottle. And you bought a bottle and you opened it.
Yep.
And that's what convinced me to buy that bottle.
When we tasted it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when we tasted it.
Yep.
So it's had that amount of time
Yeah.
to really open up and come together with the help of
Yeah.
a little bit more oxygen.
It's. I think it's fantastic that Jack Daniel's is headed towards this direction, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like they're getting to the BTAX or the Pappy of that,
that
that
category,
product,
yeah,
that
Tennessee
category.
whiskey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think it's fantastic.
Well, I trust that you guys will circle back to these once they've been open for a while.
Yep.
Brian, Pat,
Yes.
thanks for joining us
Thank
today.
you.
Of course.
This was fun. Hope you guys enjoyed the Jack Daniels lineup. As always, Lambert, thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks, man.
And our master aficionado behind the scenes, Danny Will
Danny
Productions,
boy.
other Justin. Thanks as always. So
JT.
until next time, Nerd Bytes.
Nerd Bytes.
Bye.
See you later.
Bytes.